Yeah.
It's like the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, I need another tree fitty.
Yeah, and that was kind of like to Caleb Hammer's point of it was just like, they basically offer something of like, tell you it's going to be free or offer it for free, and then they backtrack and like change it. And it's hard to do the backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're not willing to commit to it and be good with what it brings, either like you have to come up with something new or just leave it as is. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kayura and Mal Podcast, where we are documenting our journey of my fiance trying to turn me into a gamer. For those new here, I'm Kayura, the newbie to the gaming multiverse.
And I am Mal'Ganis, the overseasoned, overcooked veteran. So, yep, Battlestate Games is attempting to rectify the firestorm that they created with the Unheard Edition, but I feel that the damage is already done. And the goodwill and faith has gone within a good portion of the community and the player base. So, yeah.
So, and I have not been following this as much. I know you've been keeping me up to date with all of it. From what you're seeing from the gaming podcasts that you watch, are people thinking about going back to Tarkov, or are they just done and like they burned the bridge?
I think it's split. It is definitely split. Some people think it's silly. You know, most of those people, got plenty of money. It doesn't bother them. They'll upgrade just fine. They don't care.
For me, it's more of the principle of it.
Well, and that's a bit that I have in here is that, the degenerate in me wants the Unheard Edition, but I have to stand on principle no matter how much I want, early access to the PvE version of the game. Which is unfortunate that is the case, but I mean, they've made some adjustments. They're kind of balancing the packs, and EOD's catching up, and they're getting some of their own stuff. But there's still some pay to win elements in there. There's a bunch of other stuff in there that's doesn't seem to be kosher or aligned with the core values of what Tarkov was originally established to do. But it's one of those things like, don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetency, which is really what this feels like.
Oh, I mean, sorry, I'm still getting over from a cold. I feel like people don't stop and think. I was briefly telling you about the YouTube channel Watcher.
Oh, yeah.
And the same time all of this was going on with Tarkov, this YouTube channel, so they had free content on YouTube for years. They had over 2 million followers on YouTube. They also had a Patreon with several different tiers to it, plus like merchandise that they sold. And apparently like the merchandise was kind of expensive, like $30 to $40 for a shirt, if I remember correctly.
Oh, hold on. On the topic of Patreon, go check out our Patreon. It'll be linked below.
Yeah,
We're working on bonus content, but this is for ad-free content. And if you guys feel that we're worthy of your support, please support so we can get her a boom stand.
So we would like to note that we are not monetized on YouTube yet. So this is more so if you feel like supporting us and helping us in this journey, go check it out. We would greatly appreciate it. So
sorry about the ad break.
So for Watcher, they had the Patreon. They had like several different tiers. Like one was $5. Their most popular, I think, was like $10. And then I know there was like a $25 one as well. And there was another. There was like 4 different levels, I think. But they decided they were not making enough money.
It's never a good decision to make.
And so they created their own platform that people would need to subscribe to and pay $6 a month to get access to their content.
It's no bueno.
And it's like, you already had a Patreon that a lot of people were subscribed to. They also made the mistake of saying that anyone could afford $6 a month.
Not in this economy.
Not in this economy. And you also have to think of when you have, people are trying to support creators' Patreons accounts. You have Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, and there's all these subscriptions. And eventually subscriptions get up to $200 and $300 a month to where okay, yeah, it's only $6, but when you have, $26 subscriptions.
Yeah, it stacks up fast. I mean, we have 2 World of Warcraft accounts, Crunchyroll, what else? Patreon to the podcast for Jesse and Veritas. Shout out to them. Go check out their channels. That stuff adds up fast for a lot of people. And this, to loop back into Tarkov, it's like you already have I would assume at least we're talking seven figures in the number of people probably or close to it that have already given you $150 or whatever their currency is, and you're going, hey, pay us another $100. Now they did change it. I think it's only like $50 to upgrade or $25. There's like a huge discount for EOD people to upgrade now because of the community backlash. And then unheard of edition people that upgraded to it, or EOD people that upgraded to it, are receiving a coupon for the store and stuff like that. So they're trying to financially rectify it, but it's like we already crossed the bridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. And that's something that the Watcher's going through, is because originally their plan was, because they do series, TV shows in a way. And so the plan was that for each season, they would only put the first episode on YouTube
to I hate that.
Get people caught into it, and then send them, if they want to see the rest of it, they have to go to their subscription service. Well, now they're backtracking. And essentially, they're just using this whole subscription service now like a Patreon. Where it's they can pay $6 and they'll get the content. Can't remember if it was a week or a month early, something like that. They can get access to the content sooner and it'll be ad free.
Right.
But I'm just you can do the same things on Patreon.
Yeah.
So it was just why? And I like the way. Sorry. I like the way that Caleb Hammer put it, because he did a segment on this. It's a lot harder to make content that was once free now cost money. And I feel like a lot of people are getting greedy in the sense of oh, we see how much money Netflix makes, or we see how much money this person makes, and they did this thing, so let's go do it. But really the only way to make it work is you have to come up with something new. So Caleb Hammer created his I guess Patreon. I guess it's Patreon technically. I do not use Patreon, so I'm sorry this, but he has his whole group that you can pay $5 a month to get access to, and that's another stream of income. But you're getting the post show for that. So there's something there that you do not get, because for me on YouTube, I'm not a part of his group. Love his content, but right now paying an extra $5 to watch an extra hour of content a week is just not in the cards with the wedding and everything else going on.
Yeah.
But I do like how Caleb will do sections from the post show at the end of the audit, and so it kind of draws you in, and there's times do I join so I can watch the post show?
I will say I think it's $10 a month for the podcast, and the bonus episode is well worth it. Well worth it. I've had some eye-opening bonus episodes, listening to them chat, and it's definitely it's something that I would like to do with this channel, is have a more personal conversation with the community, because that's kind of what they do. that they wouldn't want to share in a much more broader format like this.
I can definitely see that. And there are things I know that we would like to do with this channel and expand it and have a community, but it's a little bit difficult when there's only 2 or 3 people watching.
You guys are the real ones.
Yes.
You're the real ones. We do this for you.
We show up for you guys. And so definitely comment down below. Love to meet you guys, interact with you guys. So we really do appreciate you guys, and you're helping us slowly get monetized.
Yeah, the 3 people that have consistently been showing up, even if you're only here for a little bit, we really appreciate it.
Yes, it is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, somehow we have a bunch of subscribers, but we don't have watch hours, which is frustrating.
Don't understand the subscribing if you're not going to watch, but I feel like I'm a little weird in the sense that I only subscribe to YouTube channels after I watched their content for like months.
Oh yeah, I didn't subscribe to Asmongold for like 4 years, and I consumed hundreds of hours of his content before I subscribed.
I think the quickest I ever subscribed to a channel was Caleb Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because I found myself every day at work, 11 o'clock on the dot, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Like, all right, where's the next episode?
I would like be refreshing of like, where is it? And I was just like, okay, if I'm this dedicated to watching him, I need to subscribe. But like the Minimal Mom, I love her content.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was like a year before I subscribed to her channel.
Mm.
And there's a few others I like. I got a like house organization and minimalism content. So
yeah, and it's kind of how I got it with the podcast. Is I was working on Shooterborn in Heaven in Tarkov, and I was just going into raids alone with light kits, bolt action rifle, cheap one, sitting in a bush, watching my target area. And I hate doing Shooterborn that way, but that's the only way to do it for me because I'm not good at the game, is to set up a kill zone and just wait. And I just got bored sitting in the bush, and I saw their podcast, and I was like, no, click on that and put that, play it on low so I can still hear what's going on in the game. And it was just off from there. I was just consuming all the content as fast as even the old content that was out of date. It was just interesting listening to them talk about it. And then guys that have been playing for much, much longer than I have, talk about the game and their experiences and how the game has changed over time. But yeah, and I could, kind of back to our opening segment, I can only imagine how those old OG guys, because I was late to the party, I didn't get the game until like 2019, 2020. I can only imagine how the dudes back in like 2016 that were EOD account owners, how they felt when this happened. It's like, you told me almost 10 years ago that I was going to get everything for free, and now you're asking me for more money.
Yeah.
It's like the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, I need another tree fitty.
Yeah, and that was kind of like to Caleb Hammer's point of it was just like, they basically offer something of like, tell you it's going to be free or offer it for free, and then they backtrack and like change it. And it's hard to do the backtrack. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're not willing to commit to it and be good with what it brings, either like you have to come up with something new or just leave it as is.
Yeah, even if we pipe dream, hit 1 million subscribers, whatever, this will always be posted on YouTube on Sundays for you guys.
Unless something's going crazy wrong.
Or YouTube falls apart.
But also I want to say this. I don't see us ever... I don't want to say this because I might come to eat my words.
Start eating crow.
I don't see us ever becoming full-time content creators, or at least both of us becoming full-time content creators. I know for me, I really like the stability that a 9-to-5 offers.
Yep.
And so I don't think I'd ever feel comfortable with both of us.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I want to make more content. I'm still chewing the fat on the idea of doing streams, but I feel like that is such a time-consuming and high-skill practice that I do not have the time to commit to, but also the skill, because you've got to be an entertainer. You've got to be, for the most part, you got to be, if you're not a good entertainer, you got to be great at the game. I'm not great at the game. I don't feel like I'm that good of an entertainer. I feel like I'm a decent conversationalist, is what we're doing here. But outside of that, I don't really feel that I have anything to offer you guys as a streamer, other than, hey, look at my subpar mount collection in World of Warcraft. Other than that, I don't feel like I have a lot to offer.
And that's something, part of it too is just hard right now. And I feel like it's a balancing act on my end of just priorities of like not being monetized on YouTube. Like, we make no money from this.
Yeah.
We're doing this purely as a hobby. And like, it would be really nice to get monetized and to be able to like justify doing this long term. But it's like, at the moment, it's not bringing in anything. So it's like, do I sit down and do a podcast, or do I take up an extra shift at my retail job that's guaranteed money?
Yeah.
Or take another dog walking gig that's guaranteed money. And it's really hard to justify doing this sometimes. Especially, everyone's talking about the state of the economy, and it feels like it doesn't matter how much you make, you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Oh, I'm going to get on my economic soapbox now, and I feel like we live in a world where we have to monetize our hobbies to even have hobbies, to have a reason to live outside of just going to work, unless you obviously have a family or something like that.
And it's hard to think about, and there's been some studies going on, and I want to say it's like doing surveys of the different generations to see how much they need to make. They feel like they need to make to survive and like live a comfortable, like middle class lifestyle. I know how to talk, maybe.
Words, they're all made up.
And I want to say for millennials, they said it was like $170,000 a year for a household. You got to think, we're not.
Yeah.
Like, in the grand scheme of things. And of course, it varies from where you're at, because every state has a different cost of living. But it's crazy to think about it. And, we're sitting here, I think everyone's thinking of, how do we buy a house?
Yeah. Well, and that's, to get back to Tarkov, it's like they drop this in the middle of, effectively a global economic, I wouldn't say recession yet. I don't think we're quite there, but I think we're definitely headed there. But during a period of global economic instability, and then they expect their player base to just fork over another $100. That was off the rip. Not, they're trying to rectify it and stuff like that. But that was their initial thought going into it.
So I'll be the first person to admit I do not do a great job of keeping up with world events. I know some things. But when we say global recession, like, I know obviously where the US is sitting. Is this like globally? Is like Europe hurting as bad as the US is?
They're hurting worse than we are.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
I haven't really been keeping up with it, because sometimes
it's almost 400 Canadian dollars for the unheard edition, and it's like 350 Australian dollars, something like that, for the unheard edition.
Oh wow.
You want us to pay that much for an unfinished game in this economy? You're out of your mind.
Yeah. And part of me is curious. I would love to see their books to see where they're sitting financially. Because part of me is wondering if like the choices that they made years ago is like they're now running out of income streams. Or is it just that they're being super greedy?
No, they had more. So originally they had one income stream, and that was to buy the game as early access. That was the income stream. Then they opened up to monetization through microtransactions of skin sales. And then that was apparently, it was a huge flood of income to them, because a bunch of, level 20 Andes went and bought the high level cosmetics.
Was that pretty recent?
Oh yeah, that was within the
Okay.
past 6 months.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, we talked about this.
Yeah, so they're flush with cash. So I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we trying to choke more money out of the player base? I mean, look at Blizzard, that's now owned by Microsoft, which I think has been the best thing that's happened to Blizzard in the past 10, 15 years. They've dropped Season of Discovery. You get it just because you have a subscription. They're going to drop Mist of Pandaria Remix. You get it just because you have a subscription. Cataclysm Cataclysm Classic. I know it's not for everybody, but all you had to do was buy the expansion. You have Classic off the rip just from having a subscription. You know what I mean? They've got Time Walking and Awakening stuff. You get it just because you have a subscription. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. You're flush with cash and you're just trying to choke more money out of the player base.
So, yeah, no, I forgot that they're microtransactions. Because, like, to me, when that started, I was like, it kind of makes sense if they're hurting for cash. But I'm wondering if, like, that came in and it just got the wheels turning of, like, how can we make more?
That's why I said it feels like this decision was made by an accountant. But I would also like to retract part of that statement. It's like, I think I said it earlier in the podcast, I wouldn't attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetency. Cat just jumped in my lap and clawed me. Hello, Wasabi. How are you? She just completely wrecked my train of thought. Battlestate Games does not have a very good track record of forward-thinking behavior. And they're very, very poor at open communication with the player base.
Yeah, part of me feels like, and I definitely think this was a little bit of greed, but also ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like this could have easily been prevented by even just picking like a couple of players and polling them on their thoughts and just getting like a quick survey from a few people like, hey, what if we did this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they told us outright, they were like, hey, the Edge of Darkness edition, because when they took it away, Nikita came out and said, hey, Edge of Darkness is going to be replaced by a new edition of the game, and it's going to be even better than Edge of Darkness. And we were like, cool, that's fine. And that was on the assumption that the Edge of Darkness edition owners were going to either be grandfathered in, which was my understanding, or whatever was in that edition was going to be added to us, but what was in Edge of Darkness was not going to be in it.
Yeah.
And they just shat all over the Edge of Darkness owners. They were like, we don't care about you guys anymore. We already got your $150. We don't care about you. You give us another $100. That's how it felt to me. And I've sat and I ruminate's the wrong word because it has a negative connotation, but I did kind of ruminate on it. I was like, wow, really? Okay, cool. That tells me everything I need to know about you.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, and then you look at Gray Zone Warfare, who's a direct competitor to Tarkov. They just went early access 48 hours ago, something like that, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. And I really want to play it because I do enjoy, hardcore milsim shooters. But it's also, like I said in the last podcast, I don't enjoy games that are just patrolling the simulator. So it might not be for me. Also, I don't enjoy games like that if I don't have friends to play with. So.
No, I definitely understand not enjoying if you don't have anyone to play with.
Mm-hmm.
It's just lonely.
Well, and it's tough when there's a skill difference as well. Like I feel like it kind of Vash struggled to play Tarkov with me when I was learning because I just didn't know what I was doing, so I just followed him around. He was effectively playing by himself. I was just an extra target, which gave him the one up in gunfights. But apparently Gray Zone is struggling right now in the review department on Steam. but the game is only about 20% complete, so it's kind of understandable, that they are kind of where they're at. But, credit to the devs. They must have the fastest consumer response time in human history. Like the head developers on Twitter all the time, hey, we're pushing hot fixes. Hey, we're pushing hot fixes. Just, jump out of the game, jump back in, restart the game. And apparently it weighs on the hardware like an elephant's nutsack because it is an Unreal Engine 5, and apparently the map's 42 square kilometers with 1,000 active AI at any given time.
Wow.
Yeah. So Gray Zone's looking pretty good, but I want to wait. Yeah. I want it, but I want to wait.
I can see that. So I was kind of looking through the notes, and something that caught my attention, going back to the Tarkov topic.
Okay.
Tarkov is trying to get into esports.
Yeah, so Evasion is a event organizer specifically for Tarkov. I need to do a little bit more research on them. I think their armband looks pretty cool. And I'm not saying that to be a contrarian. I do. It was always my favorite armband in Tarkov. But apparently they came out on Twitter. I read through the post, and they raked Battle State Games over the coals because apparently they just keep jerking them around, costing them money, costing them time. Evasion was trying to, create sanctioned events and all this other stuff. But apparently there was nepotism was thrown around, like corrupt behavior, I think. I'd have to go back and reread the post, but...
Has BSG responded to any of these claims?
I didn't see any official response from them yet, but I think what some streamers have said is a true statement, and that's, I think BSG has a lot of pride, and due to that pride, they won't extend the hand of peace or lay down the olive branch in an attempt to, rectify issues with partners or with streamers or anything of that nature. And I think that's kind of a them problem that they need to solve internally within their organization. I mean, you look at Dark Souls, Miyazaki, he's like, you're going to play the game I want you to play the way I want you to play the game, and you're going to like it. And everybody does because they put so much effort into the Soulsborne series. But this is like, a lot of it is they just make dumb decisions.
So I feel like this is a very stupid question that I should know the answer to, but keep in mind, I'm just not, I don't know a lot about
You're not
this.
in the sphere. I get you.
Is BSG, are they the organizers of the esports events, or what do they have to do with Tarkov not being able to be an esport?
Hey, Battle State Games is the creator of Tarkov.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy. That's what I was thinking. So I was just how are they
Evasion is the organization.
Okay.
That was the event organizer trying to legitimize Tarkov.
Okay, so Evasion is the ones trying to... So basically, there are people who want Tarkov to become an esport, but the company that owns Tarkov is not allowing it.
No, they want it to become an esport. They just don't play well with others. That's why they released Tarkov Arena, which is a pile of garbage.
What's
your confusion?
I guess I'm trying to figure out why, because putting this as an esport would help bring more attention and publicity to them. Is it that they only want certain players to be the professionals? No,
because they want people to play the game the way they want them to, which has been a long-standing issue in Tarkov because of the way people cheese things. Nikita's they've actively changed quest in the middle of a wipe because Nikita or somebody did not like the way that we were completing the quest. So they moved the goalpost. They changed the standard.
I got it. Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying now? So,
Yeah.
It's not in an attempt to like make certain people pros and others not. It's
Sorry, I was trying to.
no. BSG doesn't play well with others, let alone with inside of their own organization. From being an American looking in, but from what Evasion is saying is that they just jerk them around. They give half truths and things like that. If I understood the post correctly.
Okay, so let me see if I got this. So both BSG and Evasion want Tarkov to be an esport.
Mm-hmm.
But BSG does not want to get the people playing and competing the ability to play the way they want to play.
Yeah, that is a way to say it.
Okay.
Yes.
They want to be played a certain way and don't want anyone going about it different ways, which is, in my opinion, kind of the point of the sport, is to see people strategize and compete in different ways.
Yeah, and a lot of it, from what I've heard from like people who've participated in streamer challenges and stuff like that playing Tarkov, is that all the events are extremely poorly organized. And if this train of logic is true, I don't think it's so much that the event organizers are the problem. I think it's the Battlestate game representatives who are helping the event organizers and giving them like the administrative access to give them tournament accounts and things like that. I think those people are the ones who are the problem. It's not the event organizers themselves.
Got it. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Sorry. Sometimes you just start talking in a way of like, I have knowledge that I don't have, if that makes sense.
No, you're good, babe. Trying to catch you up. It's all good.
So, okay. That is...
Yeah, it seems like everybody's coming for BSG's throat right now. But, I mean, they did it themselves. They put the target on their back, with this kind of behavior. And it's not nice. It's not pretty. And it sucks, but they dug the hole. Now they gotta fill it in. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
But I'm hopeful for Gray Zone Warfare. I hope it can succeed where Tarkov has failed. I hope it can replicate the way that Tarkov makes people feel, which is what a lot of people talk about. Tarkov is like every 30 minutes you get that adrenaline rush, being in a sudden shootout. But also, I hope it doesn't replicate the negative emotions of Tarkov of this, I can't do this anymore feeling that I get when it's like I spend 20 minutes maybe not that. I spend, say, 5-10 minutes getting geared up for raid. I spend 5-10 minutes, loading into raid. And then I either spawn in and immediately die, or I spawn in, spawn on the wrong side of the map because I can't control where I spawn. It's all randomized. And then I got to walk, however many minutes or work my way over there because depending on scavs or the PMCs, things like that, I finally get to where I got to finish my quest and then I get killed. Rinse and repeat the process. It's like, awesome. Cool. That was a very good use of 30 minutes to an hour's worth of my time.
Yeah, I can see that. I know I've had my frustrations at times with you playing Tarkov of
the amount of times I would have been to bed at a reasonable time if that BS hadn't happened.
Yeah. So kind of an interesting thought that I had of you were talking about the adrenaline rush from playing Tarkov. I'm wondering if that adrenaline rush is actually healthy, or is it more like stress inducing where it's actually doing harm to your body in the long run? And I don't know if there's an answer to that, but it's just kind of a...
I don't think there's an answer to it, but like what I feel is when I play Tarkov solo, all I can feel is dread. That's all I feel. All I feel is dread. I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy this experience and I don't want to do it.
I get that. The amount of times I've heard you like screaming at the computer while playing Tarkov, and I'm like, how is this considered fun?
Yeah.
I think that's also been part of my hesitation for video games is like,
Yeah, don't use Tarkov as an example, because it takes a unique kind of person to play Tarkov, I think, and to get enjoyment out. Because it's one of those things like Tarkov has the highest highs and it has the lowest lows, and that's what sucks. That's what makes the game not fun at times. And I think Gray Zone is probably rectifying that to a degree, because in Tarkov, when you die, you can't get access back to that raid unless you play your scav and get lucky and get placed back in that raid. But in Gray Zone Warfare, your server is persistent. So say you die, you'll spawn back at your forward operating base. And then you'll just get back on the chopper and you can go right back to where your body was. If they didn't come and loot you, you can come and get your gear. The server, the world is persistent. But Tarkov raids, it's fresh every time you go in. So I think it just depends on what your cup of tea is. I like the idea of persistence, but I'm also a World of Warcraft player, and that world has, for all intents and purposes, it has been persistent for 20 years now, or soon to be 20 years. And it just has changed and evolved over time, but it is a persistent world. She's usually not this cuddly.
It's very rare.
Yeah, she is purring like a motorboat. So, but that moves us to our next section on the topic of World of Warcraft. We have uncrossed our fingers. We had no progression in the Sunken Temple raid because nobody showed up. It was heartbreaking going from a full stack 10-man with guys on the bench to now we are struggling to fill a 20-man team. And it ain't for lack of trying. The raid leader's been trying to recruit. I've been trying to recruit. Healers are in short supply for some reason. Because there's more healing classes that are viable in the game now. So it's just been frustrating and it's been really disheartening. I know the raid leader's about to blow a gasket. Especially when people sign up to come to the raid and then don't show up for the raid. It's awesome.
Like, didn't you guys used to have a backlog of...
Oh yeah, we had guys on the bench.
And then what happened? Because like, I want to say you said there was like 30 people?
Well, technically we need 40 people because blue team is a 20-man team and red team, which is my team, we're a 20-man team. But we're struggling to get over 15 people right now. And this raid requires 20 people right now.
Why is no one from blue team?
Lockouts. So the way raids work is every week, and now it's every week. Originally it was every 3 days in Season of Discovery. But if you, let's say I went into Sunken Temple and I killed the first boss and then we left. If before the next server reset, if I walk into the raid again, the first boss will still be dead. If I tried to bring somebody with me who had not killed the first boss, when they try to enter the raid, it's going to ask them, do you accept their lockout? That means that they don't get a shot at killing the first boss, which adds a lot of issues, but it causes an incongruency. So let's say blue team's guys went 8 of 8 or 7 of 8, which they're doing consistently now on a character. They can't bring that character to our raid because that, for them, the raid is dead.
Don't you guys typically have multiple characters?
We do, but people also get tired. And we're having an East Coast, West Coast issue right now. A lot of people in the guild are West Coast and only a handful of us are East Coast, so it's very difficult for scheduling. What do you want? Do you want mama? Is that what you want?
Her eyes are closed, so she's just...
Oh, she's just chilling. Can't reach my water.
She looks so mad that you disturbed her.
What were you saying?
So I'm going to ask this question because me just being nosy. Have you considered leaving your guild and joining another one that you'd be able to get playtime?
People who do that are scum.
Okay.
And I say that because I am scum, because the reason that I don't do it, and this is going to get into a really long history of World of Warcraft for Mal'Ganis, and that is so I didn't get to raid in Wrath because I sucked at the game. That's really distracting. I got good in Cataclysm. Started raiding in Cataclysm and Firelands and Dragon Soul. Left for summer camp during the beginning of Mist of Pandaria. Came back. The guild fell apart. So I just kind of piddled around in Mist of Pandaria for a while I was in college. And my old raid leader messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm putting together another guild. And we're going to have a new team. Do you want in?" I said, I'm all in. So we started raiding Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar, and we ended up being a heroic progression team. This is before Mythic was a thing. And we were making decent progress, but we weren't making the progress I wanted. And then I started pugging into another guild's raid team after my team, because they had a later raid slot than my current team. So I just had to wait for them to get past where I left off, and then I could pick up on their team. And they made me an offer to come to their team. So I left my guild, went to their team, raided with them. And then they splintered, and I followed their core team to a new guild and server transferred and raided whatever the first raid of Warlords of Draenor was, and Blackrock Depths, Blackrock Foundry, raided that with this team, and ended up getting dropped for low performance because I wasn't performing at the level they wanted me to. I wasn't parsing high enough is what it was. They had like a ridiculously high cap they wanted people parsing at. And at that point, after doing all of that heroic and mythic raid progression, I was burnt out and I was really jaded. And I effectively quit playing the game till Legion came out. I was done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Then casually raided in Legion, quit in the middle of Antorus again, played a little bit in Battle for Azeroth, quit again, completely skipped the Shadowlands. And then Vash talked me into coming back for Dragonflight, and then I saw Season of Discovery, and I've been on that ever since. But jumping raid teams and jumping guilds gives you a bad reputation, and I've had a very poor experience of doing it in the past, so I don't want to do it again.
So, almost sounds like, I don't know, this is a little bit of a hot take here, but people like jumping careers and companies all the time, like within like a year of like leaving, that eventually is just like, why am I going to hire you if you're going to leave in a year?
Yep. And it's a little bit more difficult to discern that about an individual now, unless they give you that information forthrightly. But it used to be like in vanilla, probably all the way up to Wrath, everybody knew everybody on their server. All the guilds knew each other. Everybody talked to each other. People had reputations. They recognized names. They recognized character models. Because back then you couldn't change it. What you made it was what it was. So, but yeah, it
So let me ask you this question, because that analogy just kind of got my head spinning. Do you think as the newer generations are coming up and playing World of Warcraft that they are going to be less loyal to their guilds and hop around more like how that same generation tends to hop around careers?
Well, it's already started.
Oh, it has?
Yeah.
So it's more of a almost like cultural, generational.
And it started back in vanilla. I mean, it's been in the game since the game came out. You know, people guild hopping because basically what happened was 40-man teams were poaching from each other in vanilla because of boss mechanics. They required certain classes, or they required certain amounts of certain classes. A big one that really broke a lot of guilds was the 4 horsemen fight in Naxxramas required 4 tanks. Up until that point, you only needed 2 tanks. So now all of a sudden, and tanks are the hardest thing to find in the game, bigger guilds were poaching, the main and off tank from another guild. That guild may only have those 2 tanks. Now that guild is effectively non-raid capable because 2 of their 2 tanks were just absorbed by a bigger guild, so they could have 4 tanks for that fight. And then we started to see the reverse of this problem. Nope, I'm not going to let you on the keyboard. When 40-man rating got dropped to 25-man rating, well, they dropped 15 people from their team, said, hey, we don't need you anymore. So that created, guild issues, and people started dividing, forming new guilds out of that. And then 10 and 25 came, which causes issues because let's say you've got 18 raiders in a guild. Well, you don't have enough for a 25-man team, and you got too many people for a 10-man team. So what do? Form 2 10-mans or form a 25-man team? So it's like it's a staffing and talent management problem, and that's what a lot of people don't understand about raid management. And that was a conversation I had with my raid leader, who he's a younger raid leader. I was a heroic progression raid leader in Siege of Orgrimmar before Mythic dropped, and I was kind of like expounding on him the hard lessons that I learned during that really, really and truly you want to keep, let's say you need a 20-man raid, you want to keep 30 guys around. And the reason you want to do that is people get burnt out. They need a night off. They have family emergencies, and you don't want them to feel like they have to put the guild or the game before their family or before their own mental health or physical health.
But
your tail's wagging. I know you're agitated.
Me being devil's advocate here is that panning out, considering that you're not really getting to raid right now?
We're not getting to raid because we don't have the people.
But you have 30 people for a 20.
No, we don't. We're having the 10-man, 25-man problem. Do we make 2 10-man teams, or do we make a 25-man team? Because if 40-man raiding was open right now, we don't have enough active raiders in the guild to make a 40-man team. You see what I mean? We're caught in the in-between right now. So we've got effectively 35 people right now that are raiding, 30 to 35 people. We don't have enough to make 2 20-mans, and we don't have enough to make a 40-man for when 40-man raids come. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in this weird period of in-betweenness, and it's not helping that this phase only goes to level 50, and everybody's kind of like, you know what I mean? They're like, we're waiting for level 60. We'll take a break till 60 comes around,
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of where a lot of people are.
Okay.
Water. Yeah.
So, World of Warcraft, do they give you the option to go in with less than 20 people?
Yes, you can go in. So in retail, there's a thing called flex rating. So the raid scales, it starts at minimum 10 people, maximum 30. That's flex rating, and that's normal and heroic raids and LFR. I think you can run 30 people. I think up to 30 is 25 or 30, but the raid difficulty scales off of the amount of people you have.
That's cool.
It took a while for them to implement that technology.
Yeah, I can see that being difficult.
Now, Mythic is a hard number. I think Mythic is a minimum maximum of 20. You have to have a certain amount of people for Mythic rating. But no, we did our first weeks of progression in Sunken Temple. We did with like 15 people. But we can't pass the healer or the DPS checks because we just need the bodies. We just need an ass and a seat. We need a heat signature. And that's the difficulty that we're running into right now, trying to recruit people. And I'm going to show my age a little bit, but I remember standing in front of raids before LFR was even a thought in anyone's mind, begging to get onto a raid team, even just as a pug. Like, I didn't even want to, if you wanted to invite me to the guild, fine. If you wanted to keep me on the team, fine. I just wanted to go into a raid. That's all I wanted to do was raid. So, but those days have long since passed us, I think, with how the game plays now. But yeah, on a more positive note, we did have a super fun time walking raid in Black Temple with some guildies. We stood up a retail guild, same guild name, which is nice. It was super undertuned. It was a little too easy, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun getting to hang with the homies and do Black Temple again. I've always really liked Black Temple. I thought that was a good raid. Even though I didn't get to experience it when it was current. I've always kind of liked the vibe there and thought it was cool. Too much trash, but other than that, I thought it was really cool getting to fight Illidan, because his cinematic was just awesome. But yeah, I'm definitely having the same issue with not getting to play with friends. If I'm not playing with friends, I'm not having fun, and this problem is a problem.
That's actually what I was kind of thinking, because like the whole thing of like, I don't play video games because I have no one to play them with. And so it's just like, you never invite me to.
Why do I have to invite you? Just walk and be like, I want to play games.
Because you're normally every time you're on your computer, you're like playing WoW, getting ready for a raid, or you were playing Tarkov, which we both know is a bad idea for me to play.
I haven't played Tarkov in a year and a half.
That's not true.
When was the last time I played Tarkov?
I don't know, but you played it since we moved in together.
I think I played a little bit of the beginning wipe, expecting my team to come back, and then they never came back. That was like a wipe or two ago.
Because like we've not even hit the year mark of us living together, and I knew you played since we've been in this apartment.
I have logged into the game, but other than that, I have. When I say I haven't played like I used to play.
Okay.
But
I just like even when we filmed content for the channel and me playing video games, like I've still just like felt alone in the game.
Okay.
Because it's like, so I'll use War Thunder as an example.
Okay.
Like we're both flying our own planes, kind of doing our own thing. There's no like strategy, like working together and communicating and.
Okay. So you're asking for a lot in the context of War Thunder.
Like, and I get that, but even like when I played, like, wow, it was just I was out on my own quest, just going off doing my own thing, and you were just kind of like playing your own thing and answering questions if I had them. Okay,
so what if we played like Cataclysm Classic and quested together?
I barely know it. Other than knowing that is WoW. I don't know what those words mean.
It'll be a fun experience. You'll get to enjoy the game when I was young and still relatively new to the game. I started in Wrath. Cata was like my first change of expansion. My mic keeps trying to run away from me. It keeps trying to slide up in my nose, but yeah, no, I think if we can dedicate some time in your extremely busy schedule, I think you can play. You should be able to. It comes with your subscription, but I don't think you have Cataclysm the expansion. Maybe not. We'll see. But we can still play together up to, I think, level 80.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, no, that's like the whole reason I don't play is I just feel like I'm playing by myself, and I'm just like.
Okay, so I gotta hold your hand while we play. Do I have to like play like this? Is this how we have to play?
You don't have to hold my hand. Also, like I kind of need my hand for the mouse.
Clearly not in War Thunder. You forget your left hand exists.
This is my right hand, so I need my right hand for the mouse because that's what I use.
You can't play ambi? You know in World of Warcraft you got to use both hands to play the game, right?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Is that going to be too much?
I'm probably going to have to practice movement again because
it's just WASD. Just W goes forward.
But yeah, no, it's just like you're always just doing your own thing, and I'm just like, well, he's busy, so I don't want to interrupt. And
no, I don't mind. You know, pretty much. Here's how you'll know if I'm doing something that I would prefer to not be interrupted, and that's if my mic is down. My mic is like this. It means I'm talking to other people. If it's up, which it is 95% of the time, feel free to come and be like, "Hey, you want to play some WoW?"
I feel like it should be the opposite, because if you're talking to people, then you're like...
If my mic is down, it probably means I'm in raid.
Don't you need to talk to them while in raid?
Yeah, that's when my mic is down in front of my face, not up where in its resting position when I... Did you just get it backwards?
Yes, I did. I was thinking of up being like up at your mouth, down being like down away.
I'm trying to find something witty to say, but I just don't know what to say.
Also, I've not played with the boom arm, so I don't know all the ways it moves. It looks like you would be able to pull it down and kind of push it away from you, so that was my thought.
I can, but it's still like still in the way. It's easier when it rests like up here.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that, so
if the mic is up,
okay,
in the up
that position makes sense.
Feel free to be like, "Hey, babe, let's play some WoW." If the mic is like this, it probably means I'm in raid.
Okay, got it.
We good? We got it worked out?
Yes.
Okay. So, but on that note, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us. We hope you enjoyed the content because we love making it for you.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. We love having you guys, and we hope you enjoyed it.
Peace.
Bye.